to the 8th concert of our Muni Band season, proudly playing in the Valley Desert and during Moonlight Madness. It's crazy. Crazy. Crazy deals all up and down the streets of St. Genevieve. 25% off non-wine purchases at St. Genevieve Winery, and also nightcap specials. Prairie Reflections, written in 1956 by John Warrington, is a compilation of early country western tunes. Western music reached its height in popularity in the 1930s and 40s, spurred by the popularity of singing cowboys like Roy Rogers and Gene Autry in western films of the time. The genre was also helped by radio shows of the era which featured western music and had strong western themes, such as The Lone Ranger and The Grand Ole Opry. The 3 songs we'll hear tonight are Along the Navajo Trail by Charles Dickens, Lee Marks, and Eddie DeLange, Nobody's Darling But Mine by Jimmy Davis, and Just Because by Bob Shelton, Joe Shelton, and Sid Robin. This is Prairie Reflections. This looks like I'm gonna touch something like a trap. Moonlight Serenade is a popular song composed by Glenn Miller with subsequent lyrics by Mitchell Parrish. It was an immediate phenomenon when it was first released in May of 1939 as an instrumental arrangement and was adopted as Miller's signature tune. This song was a top 10 hit in the US pop charts in 1939, reaching number 3 on the Billboard charts where it stayed for 15 weeks. It was the number 5 top pop hit in 1939 in the year-end tally and number 2 on the top 20 songs of 1939, behind Over the Rainbow, sung by Judy Garland. In 1991, Miller's recording of Moonlight Serenade was inducted in the Grammy Hall of Fame. Enjoy this pop standard, Moonlight Serenade. ham bone, also known as the Juba dance, is a style of dance that involves stomping as well as slapping and patting the arms, legs, chest, and cheeks. The dance originated as an African American plantation dance, brought from West Africa by slaves who performed it during gatherings when no rhythm instruments were allowed, due to fear of secret codes being hidden in the drumming. Later in the mid-19th century, music and lyrics were added and public performances became popular. Its popularity is thought to be a direct influence on the development of modern tap dance. The most famous Juba dancer was William Henry Lane, who performed under the name Master Juba, and was one of the first black performers in the United States and the only performer of the era to tour with a white minstrel group. Here's a real knee slapper, ham bone. Anderson's The Typewriter, a pop concert staple composed in 1950, actually features a manual typewriter on the stage with the orchestra. In 1970, in an interview, Anderson described how he made the typing sound part of the music, not just an added effect. "We have two drummers," Anderson said. "A lot of people think we use stenographers, but they can't do it because they can't make their fingers move fast enough. So we have drummers because they can get the wrist action." Leonard Slatkin, conductor of the... there's just some, verb noun confusion. Don't worry about it. Conductor of New Anderson CDs had played quite a few typewriters himself on the concert stage and says it's hard. You have to tamp down all the middle keys so that the outside ones are the only ones that work. And you have to start with your right hand in order to be able to hit the carriage return when Anderson specifies. The typewriter is used as a theme for numerous radio programs and some television shows. I hope you enjoy this fun and interesting Anderson piece, The Typewriter. Next, we have Suite from Carmen, written by Georges Bizet. Carmen is a French opera comique that premiered in Paris in 1875, but its opening run was denounced by a majority of critics. It was almost shut down after its fourth or fifth performance, and although it was avoided ultimately by having 48 performances in its first run, it did bolster sagging receipts at the opera comique. Near the end of the run, the theater was giving away tickets in order to stimulate audiences. Composer Bizet died of a heart attack at the age of 36, never knowing how popular Carmen would become. In October 1875, it was produced in Vienna to critical and popular success, which began its path to worldwide popularity. The story of Carmen is set in Seville, Spain, around 1820, and is about Carmen, a fiery gypsy, beautiful, with a love triangle between her, the inexperienced soldier Don Jose, and the glamorous toreador Escamillo. Rag is an early ragtime musical composition for piano composed by Scott Joplin. It was one of Joplin's early works and is one of the most famous of all ragtime pieces. It began the model for ragtime compositions by subsequent composers. As a result, Joplin was called the King of Ragtime. The piece gave Joplin a steady, if unspectacular, income for the rest of his life. Despite ragtime's decline after Joplin's death in 1917, the Maple Leaf Rag continued to be recorded as one of the most by many well-known artists. The ragtime revival in the 1970s brought back to mainstream public notice once again. Prior to its publication, Joplin anticipated the piece would be a success. He told Arthur Marshall that, "The Maple Leaf Rag will make me the king of ragtime composers." Here is Maple Leaf Rag. Next, we'll hear a medley of Percy Grainger tunes, A Grainger Suite, as arranged by Frank Erickson. The pieces included in the suite are Country Gardens, Irish Tune from County Derry, and Molly on the Shore. Grainger was an Australian composer and arranger who played a prominent role in the revival and interest of British folk music in the early years of the 20th century. He also made many adaptations of other composers' work. In 1905, inspired by a lecture given by pioneer folk song historian Lucy Broadwood, Grainger began collecting original folk songs. Over the next 5 years, he gathered and transcribed more than 300 songs from all over the country, including much material that had never been written down. From 1906, Grainger used a phonograph, one of the first collectors to do so, and by this means he assembled more than 200 Edison cylinder recordings of native folk songs. I hope you enjoy this collection, A Grainger Suite. Basin Street Blues by Spencer Williams is a song often performed by Dixieland jazz bands, written in 1926 and made famous by Louis Armstrong in 1928. The famous verse with the lyrics, "Won't you come along with me to the Mississippi," was later added by Glenn Miller and Jack Teagarden. Williams was born in New Orleans in 1889, and by the time he was 18 was performing in Chicago. He moved to New York in 1916, where he began writing songs for Anton Latta of the Louisiana Five, a popular Dixieland jazz band of the time. Basin Street Blues among them. Basin Street refers to the main street of Storyville, the notorious red light district of the early 20th century New Orleans French Quarter. Here is Basin Street Blues. another member of the trombone family, a series of trombone featuring songs by Henry Fillmore. Fillmore began composing at the age of 18 with his first published march, Haim, named after a brand of brass instruments. He entered the Cincinnati Conservatory of Music in 1901. After graduating, he traveled the United States as a circus bandmaster with his wife, an exotic dancer. Fillmore returned to Cincinnati in the 1920s and became conductor of the Shriners Temple Band, which he turned into one of the best marching bands in the country. In 1938, he began an active retirement in Miami, Florida, where he continued rehearsing high school bands and composing marches. The Henry Fillmore Band Hall at the University of Miami acquired its name as a tribute to Fillmore's work, and in 1956, he was given an honorary doctorate of music by the university. Enjoy one more of Henry Fillmore's trombone screamers, Sally Trombone. 1961, Brian, Dennis, and Carl Wilson, along with their cousin Mike Love and friend Al Jardine, formed the Pendletones, playing music that combined folk songs with current pop styling and multi-part vocal harmonies. Their music heavily featured surfing motifs, though only Dennis was the surfer. In October of that year, they recorded a song simply titled Surfin'. When the band opened their first box of singles, they discovered that their name had been changed to what we now know them as, the Beach Boys. The Beach Boys went on to have over 80 songs chart worldwide, 36 of them in the United States top 40, the most of any American rock band. They've sold over 100 million records worldwide, and the three Wilsons, Love and Jardine, were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1988. Here is Beach Boys on Stage. tonight's concert with the Sousa March, Fairest of the Fair. More melodic and less military of Sousa's marches, Fairest of the Fair was composed for the annual Boston Food Fair of 1908. Sousa claimed that the memory of a pretty girl he had seen at an earlier fair inspired the composition. It is the only work of any kind he composed that year, and one of the only a handful of compositions that he wrote between 1906 and 1910. Fairest of the Fair is also unusual as far as Sousa marches go, in that it has no obbligato, an indispensable counter-melody in the trio section, such as the piccolo solo in Stars and Stripes Forever. This is number 9, The Fairest of the Fair. concert. If you see a band member, let them know how proud of them you are and what a great job they did tonight. Good night and have a safe trip home.
Hi, thank you for watching Channel 798.
Thank you for watching Channel 7 and 98.
Hi, thank you very much for watching Channel 798.